She asked me about my boxing career. But I started out in the Golden Gloves. As a matter of fact, most people don't know this, but the first 4 bouts I had as an amateur, okay, I lost all 4 of them. But I thought I won at least 3 of them. I thought I got cheated. But it motivated me to keep on boxing and keep on trying. And I think that's what encouraged my trainer, who was Coach George Johnson, who was my junior high and high school coach, really taught me about boxing. And I think he saw my perseverance, how I stuck to it. And I became the captain of our boxing team. I won the Youngstown Golden Gloves in 1953. And after that, I had 1 professional fight up in Buffalo, New York, and I won that fight. I came back home and had a good talk with my coach. He said, "Brother Bobby," he called me, "you don't have the hands to be what you want to be." See, I wanted to be the heavyweight champ of the world like Joe Louis, but I didn't have the frame. So I got out of boxing for a couple of years, but after that, my younger brothers, Orlando and Alfonso, they boxed. As a matter of fact, Alfonso won the Youngstown and Cleveland Golden Gloves. I was one of the boxing trainers. But it started me to be actually assistant to my coach. We trained at East Junior High School at first, and then later on we went up to Harding High School. But I became, after being captain of the boxing team, I learned the manly art of self-defense. And during that time, I trained over 300 young fighters of all denominations, sizes, and hue. And the most famous 2 that I had was 2 young men that fought for world championships. One was Ernie Shavers, who fought for the heavyweight championship against Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes, 2 of the probably 10 strongest, the best fighters of all time. My other luminary was a young man by the name of Randy Stevens from Braceville, Ohio. Ernie was from Newton Falls, and Randy was from Braceville. But Randy fought 2 world champions also. They were 2 South Africans. Unfortunately, he lost to both of them. And I've been told by both of my young men, if I had been in their corners, they probably would have been world champions. But they were champions because they worked harder probably than anybody. But later on, I moved to New York, and I became first and only African-American member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame up in Canastota, New York. I served there for about 4 years until I came back to Ohio. But while I was there, I learned that the world of boxing, and it's been my aspiration to start an International Amateur Boxing Hall of Fame, and probably it might bring it back to the Morning Valley. So just keep on and checking us out, so you might hear more about the boxing. Really didn't have a hard time. I was always a people person. I think you receive what you put out. So I was raised in a good God-fearing home. There was not a lot of prejudice in our family. My mom and dad were both active church members. My mother was a beautician. They call her cosmetologist now. And she's one of the first black licensed beauticians in the state of Ohio. My dad was a steel worker. And matter of fact, he tried to start a union in Alabama. That's another story. But he came to Ohio. He didn't get involved with the union, but he's very active, with the community, with the church. But Alabama was another experience. I picked cotton and chopped peanuts when I was a little boy. As a matter of fact, I tell the story. When I came to Warren, Ohio, I was the only kid in the neighborhood of Cub Scout suit. And I used to tell that I picked cotton and made enough money to buy the cup. And I must say, "Boy, you just talking, you was too young." But at the time, I picked cotton, but I was in the cotton field anyway, and I do a whole lot of picking. I was too young. But that Alabama was experience. My family were landowners. Both my grandparents, my paternal and maternal grandparents, were wealthy people. They owned a lot of land. They had people, as a matter of fact, sharecroppers with him, because that's just when the people that work for you, some of them live on the land, okay? And whatever they did during that year, half of that had to go to the owner. Unfortunately, my grandparents were the owners. So I grew up in a background with my family were entrepreneurs. They're store owners. As a matter of fact, my mother's daddy, he owned the bus line. They took the black kids to school buses. One uncle had a dry cleaners, another had a grocery store. That was in Alabama. So we grew up in an atmosphere where there were entrepreneurs and business people, and that motivated me in my later years, to go into business. Started a steel mill like my daddy did, and all 4 of my brothers. All 5 of my brothers, we all boxed. And that was our avocation, okay? But our vocation, we worked in the steel mill. And I left the steel mill and went to the fire department, where I served for like 8 years in Warren, Ohio. And the riots broke out when Dr. King got assassinated in 1968. I drove the fire truck up to the school, and some people give me credit for assisting in bringing things to a head. So after that, they said we needed someone to keep these kids in line. So not because I could box, but because we had able to children. So they named me the Human Relations Director for Trumbull County. There's like a go-between the young folks and the old folks and the black folks and the white folks and the business people and labor. We had a background for that, so I stayed there for about 7.5 years, and I couldn't afford to stay there because I was selling real estate on the side. So I got into real estate full time, became a real estate salesman, got in the insurance business. I was one of the 4th black stockbrokers, security brokers here in the state of Ohio. As a matter of fact, 3 of my associates are here today with us in this program we got going now. So I've been very entrepreneurial. We've done a lot of things. Served 8 years in the Marine Corps. And so we've done a few things. I'm still active, and we just love the Lord. And we try to live by example. We got 3 adult children. My 2 daughters, and one in Cleveland, she's a congresswoman, Marsha Fudge, you might have heard of her. And my daughter here in Warren is Cheryl Sappho. Cheryl's the city councilman. And my youngest son, my son Juan, he lives in Warren, Ohio now. But we've had a good life. The building that we're in here now, I believe that was a 5 and 10 cent store, I believe, back in the day. I'm going back 50, 60 years ago, maybe 70 years ago. And when the black folks that came in could not sit at the counter and drink pop at the soda fountain. You had to stand up. And we've become a long way. And the people that owned it, I think it might be the Ween family, just the same building, the one next door. Ween Manufacturing. I'm not sure, but one of the buildings in this area here, the Ween Manufacturing was one of the top steel producing manufacturing in the country at the time. I remember when they wouldn't hire black people. Only people working for them were the chauffeurs. But they became one of the top engineering companies in the world. And later on, before they closed down, they had several black engineers working for them. So things change, and so, but people bring about a change. They don't happen. You have to pray, but after you get through praying, you have to work, and you have to keep on working. So most people that know me, back in the day and now, when they refer to Brother Bob Safford, they talk about Warren, Ohio, because I project Warren everywhere I go. I moved here when I was 9 years old as a kid, okay, so we got basic training and knowledge and experience that came out of Warren, okay, from Francis Willard grade school through East Junior High School and Warren G. Harding High School where I graduated from. So my basic principles about life, was still me in church first with my home and family, and then the schools I attended. They were segregated at the time. The black folks lived on one side of the town and the white folks on the other. But I saw as things change, mainly through athletics, sports. I was an athlete, and matter of fact, I got cut from the basketball team when I was in junior high school. Because, in junior high school, we won the city championship. I was a co-captain, the second leading scorer on our team. But we went to high school, I got cut on the basketball team in high school, and because the young fellow who I was guarding with, he was a Caucasian, and I was guarding him, he couldn't get the ball. So the high school coach at the time said, Bobby, stay off him, just like telling me to go wipe his face, okay? But they cut me from the team, and I got upset. I said, I'm not going to play any more sports. I'll just do something else. That's when I started boxing. And then that same year, the head coach at the high school team was a former professional football player, well known, but he said he was prejudiced. And I heard he kicked one of my buddies, okay? I knew I wasn't going back out there because 2 things you don't do to a black man, slap him or kick him. That's fighting. So I didn't want to fight. I saved my fight for the gym. So I didn't play any more intercollegiate and scholastic sports in high school, but I concentrated on boxing. And but for the grace of God, if I'd have stayed football, I wasn't that good. We're that good in baseball. We're that good in basketball. But I was pretty good at all of those. But I was better as a boxer and as a trainer, because I told you, I trained 2 young men who fought for world championships. I wanted to be the heavyweight champion of the world like Joe Louis. But my coach in his wisdom, you don't have to frame. But I've studied the game, okay? So I know boxing. It's one of the few things I really know. And my history, my experiences, and the things that we attained and acquired is a testimony to what was best for me at the time. Many times, a negative can be a positive. I'll just outwork you. I'll get up a little early, stay a little later, but you won't outwork Brother Bob. So that's part of who I am. And so I sleep now about 4 or 5 hours a night because I'm actually when I'm not asleep, I'm studying and writing and trying to make a difference in somebody's life. In many ways, I've seen a lot of progress. We got a black mayor, but we have less blacks on the fire department. I was the only black when I started, okay? But about 15, 20 years later, they had to sue the city, and through a consent decree, they had about 5 or 6 blacks at one time. Now I'm told all those guys retired or quit, they're getting ready to leave. I'm told, unless there's a major recruitment area within the fire department, 2 years, there won't be any blacks there. So in certain ways, we regressed, okay? And there were more officers, black, like myself, on the police department, okay? There were a lot of people working in positions in the city. And at the county, I remember the county welfare department had a black woman at the time. She was the interim head of that department, from Trumbull County Welfare Department, and she's the only one there that had a master's degree. But the person who was head of the welfare department just had a high school education, and the person under him had a BS, okay? So the person who was the head of the welfare department, he got sick. He was off for about a year and a half, and he wanted to appoint his fellow up under him, who was his friend. But the state came in and saw what was going on, and they made the county hire this lady. Her name was Estrine Daniels, who grew up in Niles, Ohio. Her husband was from Youngstown. He became a major people working for HUD for the federal government. I went to college at Youngstown College before it came Youngstown State with them. So we knew their background, so they believed do some things then that aren't going on now. I believe in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man. Okay, all my boxing teams, but like the United Nations, we had blacks and whites and Indians and Puerto Ricans. We trained over 300 some fighters over about a 17-year period. So my aim and my goal is to be a peacemaker. I didn't start fires, we put fires out at the fire department, and we try to do the same things in our life experiences and doing the job that we're doing. But Warren has regressed to some extent because most of the people who are talented, many of them have left. So I admire certain ones who have stayed here, like my little cousins, like brother-in-law, like Fred Harris and like Robert Davis Jr. and Herbert Caldwell. They're kinfolks, okay? But they've stayed here and tried to maintain. And so those who have stayed and tried to make a difference, I admire them. I'm only about an hour away. I can leave my home in Warrensville Heights and be at my daughter Cheryl's house in an hour. So I'm here all the time. Probably some people think I still live here because I'm spending much time. But Warren is growing. It used to be at one time, Cleveland was called the best location in the nation. I'm going back 40, 50 years ago. And I say Warren was second best location in the nation. Neither one of them I can say that for now. But I see because of activities like having here today, okay, people coming around and getting involved, okay, so there are better opportunities ahead than it was in the past. So we just have to keep working at it.